Getting out of bronze while solo queuing is tough if you're new to hero shooters and you don't have anyone to play with and coordinate with. But there are a few things that you can do that make your life easier and will help you climb out of bronze. Welcome to Background Talks, a less edited and more casual series on the channel, which you can leave in the background or just stay and chill with the gameplay. The first thing that you need to do is look at what your strengths are and what you like to do in the game and choose your heroes accordingly. For example, if you also struggle with aiming like I do, Hela or Hawkeye are characters you would be better off not playing in a competitive game. Yeah, I know, it's really cool to hit that flick headshot with Hawkeye, and I would also love to be able to do that. But since it would probably be more luck than intent, if you don't have good aim or reflexes, it's better to keep away from it in competitive play. So something like Scarlet Witch or Moon Knight might be better suited for you since they don't require pinpoint accuracy. Or if you're not an aggressive player and you don't like to jump around and play fast and you rather stay back, then don't pick Wolverine or Star-Lord. There were countless times through my time in bronze where I have seen Star-Lord sitting in the backline and poking instead of trying to contest and disrupt healers. So pick a character that embraces the playstyle you like and you are able to play properly if your goal is to climb. Of course, if your goal is to learn, just pick whatever character you like and try to learn with it, but if your goal is to climb, pick something that you are able to play. Moving on to the second mistake, not using your abilities. And I don't mean not using them at all, because if you don't use them at all, that is a huge problem. It's about not using your abilities enough. This is a mistake I did countless times and it is something I try to be more aware of. I kept my abilities waiting for that perfect moment to use them, and this decreases your contributions and your impact a lot. Take for example Hela's Piercing Knight, where she shoots the swords that stick and explode after some time. Why would you not use them as often as possible? Yeah, they indeed deal the most damage when you have stacked enemies or when you're at a choke point, but let's think like this. If you use them at the ideal moment, they deal 360 damage, for example. If you use them at the less than ideal moment, they deal 150 damage. But if you don't use them at all, they deal 0 damage. Isn't it better to constantly deal 150 damage by constantly using your abilities than to deal 0 damage by not using them at all? Also, the perfect moment might never come in a game, or it might come once or twice, but that ability has only 8 seconds of cooldown, so if you use it constantly, by the time that perfect moment comes, you will probably already have it off cooldown. By far the ability that suffers most from this is the ultimate, where I have kept and I have seen many others keep the ultimate for the perfect moment. Like, for example, a Storm ultimate that aces the entire enemy team, or an Adam Warlock moment where you revive the entire team. And yeah, it is cool to hit the ultimate in that perfect moment, but again, the perfect moment might never come, or come just once in a game. Like all the other abilities, you should use the ultimate as much as possible. I don't mean that you should use it as soon as you have it, but the most important part to think of is to get something out of it. Like, let's take Storm again, because there are a lot of cool videos out there with Storm wiping entire teams, but you don't need to do that to be effective. Even if you use it when you push an objective and you don't kill anyone but keep the enemy team from coming and your teammates occupy that space, then you got something out of it. Or if you dive in the back line, take out their strategists or distract them, make them retreat while your team gets one kill because they are unable to heal, then it is a good ultimate. I feel like this is a common mistake that I personally do in every shooter, especially fast-paced ones. Like in Call of Duty for example, where I rarely use my field upgrade and I miss out on having a small impact. So remember to keep track of your cooldowns and use the abilities you have instead of being focused only on the shooting part. Speaking of impact on the game, a big part of your focus should be developing game awareness and incorporating that game awareness in your decision-making process. One big part is to know what your allies and enemies are doing. And we start with one thing I have seen plenty of times in bronze. Let me know if this sounds familiar. You get into a team fight and you lose. Then you see everyone going to the objective one by one and instantly dying because they are in a 1v5 or 1v6 situation. Many people do this, especially in lower ranks, and they get themselves into impossible to win positions and keep that thing up for the entire duration of the game. First, the simple thing to do not be the guy that rushes alone and tries to take on an entire enemy team by himself. Second, when you see your teammates do that, try and communicate with them, either hop on the voice chat and tell them to wait and go together as a team, or use the ping system and ping a retreat signal, or just simply use the chat. Another big part of game awareness is knowing when to fight and when to retreat. You need to assess this before starting an engagement. Are you and your teammates in a good position? Do you have any advantage, or does the enemy team have any advantages over you? For example, if you are in a team fight and two of your teammates have been eliminated while the enemy team has taken absolutely no casualties, it is completely pointless to push or continue that fight. You are much better off disengaging and waiting for your teammates to respawn while you stand back and poke. If you keep pushing, or if you try and continue that battle, it will be absolutely pointless because you'll be wiped out and you will achieve nothing. Even worse, you spawn much later than your teammates that have been eliminated first, and they'll either have to wait for you or they will go all in by themselves and rush to die, just like we've talked before. It is also very important to be aware of what your enemies are doing as well. This is another scenario I have seen countless times. Our team is defending an objective, our Hawkeye is up on the building and shoots down at tanks. Meanwhile, Iron Man is up there in the sky completely unbothered and raining down fire on our backline and on our healers. This happens because Hawkeye is probably not even aware of Iron Man and he's just focused on where the bulk of the enemies are. Or another common scenario is that the enemy has a Star-Lord that keeps pestering the healers and nobody is there to stop him and peel for the healer. So try and be aware of what both your team and the enemy team are doing and try and see where you fail and what the enemy team is doing to cause you to fail. If you see that you don't get any heals or that your healers are dying instantly, assess the situation. Why are they dying, or why are they not healing you? Are you in a good position to be healed? Is there someone that is diving constantly and instantly eliminating your healers? And think of what you can do to help. You can try and protect the healers, or you can try getting into a position that makes it easier for the healers to support you, while you can still maintain your pressure on the enemy team. Also, help out your teammates be more aware of the game flow. If you see that Iron Man completely unbothered up in the sky, shooting like crazy, ping him for your damage dealers to be aware of him. Or if you are dived, ping that Star-Lord so your team has an easier time being aware of what happens in the game. Of course, sometimes you will just get matched with disastrous players that are there just to throw, or they don't even care. And that's okay, you should always try and do your best and collaborate with the team and help them out. If that doesn't work, you did your best, take the loss and move on. Sometimes you cannot win even if you are an absolute god. But speaking of unaware teammates, there is also a time when you should take matters into your own hands and not necessarily rely on your teammates. And now I'm not talking about that edgy stuff, don't expect anything, people let you down and so on. But sometimes you have to take action by yourself if nobody else does it. For example, back to that Iron Man scenario, if you see that nobody is bothering him, try and bother him yourself. Like when I played Luna Snow and I saw Iron Man or Storm up in the sky completely wrecking our team unbothered, I tried to disrupt them using ice shards and fire at them to try and eliminate them or make them retreat and reposition to give my team some room to breathe. Or if you see that you are constantly dived and nobody is there to help you, try and switch to another hero that can handle the situation. A hero that has an escape mechanism like Rocket Raccoon or Jeff. So instead of complaining or just accepting the situation, do your best to try and change it. The last piece of advice is not to chain losses. That means do not queue for a game when you are frustrated or annoyed, thinking that you will turn over the situation or gain back the points you lost. It's a little bit like gambling, to be honest, when someone is on a bad streak and they keep pushing thinking that they can recoup their losses, but at the end of the day they end up losing even more. When you see that things are not going your way, you don't hit your abilities, you feel tired and frustrated with the game, just take a break and come back tomorrow or just come back later. At the end of the day, it is simply just a game, and the point of playing a game is to have fun and enjoy your time doing it. If you are frustrated and you are tilted, not only will you lose even more because you are not in the proper mental state, but you will also become frustrated with the game or maybe even ruin your day. It's just not worth it. So just take a break, get some rest, play something else, reset, and come back the next time when you are fresh and in a better place. Getting out of bronze as a solo player is not that hard once you develop the proper game awareness and train of thought. You don't need to have huge mechanical skills or perfect aiming, you just need to think a bit and to understand the game and the flow of the game, to assess the situation and see what you can do better and what you can change, because at the end of the day, you cannot change what your teammates are doing, you can only change your own behavior. So I hope that these tips help you improve and get a better ranking as a beginner player. And if you found the info in this video helpful, help me out by subscribing to the channel and keep climbing.